everyone, welcome to Kart Crazy. Not my typical project today. Actually, we're working on a kart that belongs to a local-ish marching band. They actually use this kart to pull their equipment on and off the field while they're performing. So they've been having some trouble with it. They asked me if I can help out. I said sure. So here we go. I'm Jeff. Welcome to Kart Crazy. Alright, here's your first look. Pretty standard issue 1996 EZ-GO TXT, and there's been some work done to it, and we'll kind of go through that, and I'll show you where we're at with it and what we need to do to help them out. First off, we'll take a look under the hood, so to speak. Definitely got some issues going on with the batteries. They're actually not that old. This kart was donated to them and they put new batteries in not long ago. However, as you can see, right out of the gate, the battery tray is probably rusty. That's probably why they're hanging down like that, so we'll have to do some repairs to that. They're on a pretty strict budget, so I'm not going to be able to, buy a new battery tray and do all the normal. Probably going to have to rebuild that one a little bit. Battery cables, we've got one battery that's just in really bad shape. I've actually got one new battery for it. We're going to put some new cables on here, get that squared away, make sure the batteries are topped off. The original plan was to convert this kart over to lithium. I actually bought a big battery for it, and we were going to do that, and plans kind of changed a little bit, long story, but we're gonna fix up what they have and try to get it working a little better for them. What happens is they get all their equipment on the field, and then they're trying to get it back, and of course the kart isn't wanting to perform because of the cables and some other issues, so the team has to get behind it and they actually have to push it, so it's kind of defeating the whole purpose of having a golf cart, because they're literally pushing this thing off the field by the time the competition is over. So we're going to see if we can help that out. Somebody's been in here and done some wiring. They need the headlights. They perform at night a lot of time. Again, normally I would go through this whole kart, new seats and body and all that, but this is just trying to help these folks out a little bit. So don't have a lot of budget to mess around with any of that as much as I'd like to. Probably going to have to just leave that alone. There's no key for it. Basically, any key in the county will start and run this thing, so they'd like to fix that. So I've got a new key set for it. We'll swap that out. I noticed their front tires are getting kind of worn, and I've got some spares laying around. I'll probably just donate those to them. But the biggest thing is pull the batteries out, see what that tray looks like, and then start making some new cables. I think I mentioned in a previous episode I've got all the equipment to make new cables, so we'll do that. There's just kind of a hodgepodge of things going on here. So we're going to pull these batteries out, see how bad that tray is, and see if we can get this thing fixed up a little for them. So here we go. Well, after tearing into this, it's a little worse than we originally thought. The one new battery that I bought was for this guy, which has been modified and messed with and just plain dangerous. So I do have one new battery for that. This one is actually bad as well. It's starting to melt from so much current draw, and actually the post is crooked and the nut doesn't want to come loose. I know if I keep trying I'm probably just going to break that off. And then this third one, that's probably usable, but again, just not a good situation where it had the wrong cables on and just too much current pulling on that battery. So this other one here isn't terrible, but again, starting to see that that post just have too much draw on it and get a little bit melted and kind of end up like these if you don't do something soon. So I need to get a hold of not the owner, but I guess the manager, and see how they want to proceed. We had a really strict budget we were working with, and if I have to get 2 more new batteries, that's gonna blow the budget out of the water. So we're going to pause right here, make some phone calls, and see what the verdict's going to be. All right, here we are again. It is literally 1 week later. This had to go to a vote. I guess there's a committee that kind of takes care of the band expenses and things like that. So they had to decide what they wanted to do. So the ultimate decision was 6 new lead acid batteries. I went and got the other 5. I had bought the one that we thought was bad. They decided to just go ahead and do all 6. I'm going to replace the cables that are bad here. We're going to make some nice 2-gauge cables for that. Clean up some of this other wiring that they had going on for the lights. There was no voltage reducer that I can see for the lights, which means they either had them hooked into, I guess I didn't pay attention when I pulled it apart, either they were the full 36 volts or they were running off just part of the batteries, which is kind of a no-no because you can drain some of the batteries lower than the others, and that causes havoc too. I guess I didn't pay attention when I pulled it apart, but we're going to put a voltage reducer in there, run them on 12 volts, and then put a lot of these ends that are kind of corroded. We'll fix those up. That one's not terrible, but that one over there is pretty bad. And just clean some of this up, I cleaned some of the rust out of the tray a little bit. Kind of on a budget here, so we can't get too crazy. But we're going to get this thing operational again so they can pull their band equipment on and off the football fields and so on, and see what we end up with. So here we go. Alright, just a quick update for you. Got my main negative cable made, my main positive cable made, bolted the voltage reducer in, and I was just kind of eyeballing this up, and it's not in a good spot. I thought that would be great right there, not realizing how close the battery came, and these do get warm, and I just don't want that right next to the battery. Normally I mount them over there when I do a lithium conversion, but it just doesn't make sense because then all of our wires are going to go all the way over to that side, and then we've got to come all the way back over here to this side to get our positive and negative from our 36 volts. So it just doesn't make sense to crisscross back and forth. So I've got to try to find a better spot to mount that. I don't know if I can get up in here somehow. Maybe on this bracket right here. I guess I'll play around with it a little more, but yeah, as soon as we get that bolted in, get some new ends made, we should be able to drop some batteries in here and start routing some wires. I do have to make some more cable connectors. What I'm doing is negative on one side, positive on the other, just because there's a lot of people that work on this cart, it seems like, because there's a lot of volunteers and so on, and I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page as far as, you know, where we're at. So I'm going to do that for those. We'll keep chugging away. I'll give you an update here in a little bit. Alright, I've got everything pretty much ready to start dropping batteries in. Got new ends on here. There was a lot of corrosion right at the end, so I'm glad I did that. I ended up mounting the voltage reducer right here. This one will go reach our positive. This one I had to make a little extension for to get over to the negative. That is fused, so we don't have to worry about that. New end for our positive lead for our charger. That one runs over to the charger. So we're about ready to start dropping batteries in. I'll drop batteries in and then I'll go ahead and finish making my cables. I didn't want to make up a bunch of cables the wrong length. I did make one, but we'll go ahead and get those in there and then kind of eyeball and see what length cables we need to make. I kind of set up a makeshift cable making area back here. I've got my crimper, I've got all my connectors. And that seems to be working just fine. I got my heat shrink there, so I can come back here, make a cable, walk up here, plop it on, repeat the process until we've got all the cables in. We should be getting real close on this one. This isn't anything like what I normally do. Normally this thing would be right down to the frame, but I'm just trying to help out a friend and help out the band and hopefully get this thing back going again. I do have to put a key switch in yet. That should go super fast. Just got to drill out a couple rivets, lean that forward, put in a key switch, put new rivets in, so that'll go real quick. But let's drop these batteries in and then make our cables. Alright, I've got my second cable made, and this may actually be a hair long, but I can kind of bend it in here. Probably better a little bit long than have it stretched exactly tight. I don't know. I guess maybe personal preference. It's not going to really matter either way, but looks like I need 3 more like this, and then the one that I made, we'll bring that one around. I think it's long enough for that. And yeah, we should be real close here. So we'll make up a couple more ends and see where we're at. Alright, got all my cables made. I did pop the key switch in. I didn't bolt that in yet just to make sure everything's good there. I didn't put the cover back on yet, obviously, because we'll double check everything. But I'll go ahead and connect all our batteries together, tighten everything down, and check our voltage. We should be good to go. On a couple of these, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but I ran the heat shrink up a little too high, and I didn't like that, so I'm going to trim that back a little bit with a razor blade. That should be making good contact on the post without any interference, so something I need to be more conscious of in the future. Here's the cables we took off of the battery. I don't know if I got a real good look at those, but you know, somebody was trying to get this going right, but it's not ideal when you're dealing with golf carts. You got to have good ends on there, and you got to have good gauge cable. Also helps as well. So we've got that buttoned up. Everything's working. The lights are working. I did put the new key switch in, and that seems to be working just fine. And of course, they got lights on here now that are wired correctly, and shouldn't have any more trouble with it. Keep the batteries watered, they should be fine. Not what we were going to do with this cart. I did order a nice 36 volt setup from bigbattery.com, and we'll use that on another project. I'm sure we'll find another EZ-GO to put that in, or maybe even an older Club Car DS. Remember, if you're looking for a lithium battery for your setup, head on over to bigbattery.com, use the promo code STEGGY10, and you'll save yourself 10% on your big battery. So, well, that's going to do it for this episode. Got this thing buttoned up. We're going to get it on the trailer, get it back to the high school, and hopefully they can put it to use here real soon. What's next up for the channel? Well, I picked up a Club Car precedent. You might have seen that over on my Facebook page at Kart Crazy. If you haven't, make sure you check that out. And that's going to be supposedly my personal cart. The new house is just about done. The new shop, of course, that's attached to that. And I need to get a cart going for myself so we can buzz around the new neighborhood and get that done. So probably need to get that in here and start working on it. I've got to order up a big battery for that one for myself. This 36 volt that I have here in the shop obviously won't work. I need a 48 volt. So we'll get that ordered up. I did get a body kit, some seats, some other stuff, lift kit, the wheels and tires I have. So we'll work on that next. But thanks for coming along. I know it's not your typical video, but hey, maybe we both learned something today. So we'll see you next time on Kart Crazy.